Language is the basis of communication. There are many languages in the world, and in the way they shape the way we think. Whether it's English, Spanish, sign language, or even Japanese, the culture we live in affects the way we think. Language makes the world go round, as communication is the only way to pass information. During the colonial era, there were slang terms that derived from the UK, and now there are slang terms that derive from our pop culture. American values have mostly stayed the same, so our language hasn't changed too drastically. According to Larry Boroditsky, an American professor of cognitive science at UCSD, there's a small Aboriginal community on the western edge of Cape York in northern Australia. These people use cardinal directions to define space relative to the observer. So for example, they would say move that cup north, northeast versus saying up to the right. One of the results from this is that people have great navigational ability and spatial knowledge. She and her team would give these people a picture of temporal progression, such as a man aging, a crocodile growing, or a banana being eaten. And they will always organize the cards from east to west. That means that the cards will go from top to bottom, right to left, or even left to right. Versus me, a person who speaks English, I think from left to right as far as time goes. So I will always organize the pictures from left to right. Clearly, language is important, but in order to have language, there must be words. Every word has its own emotion, strength, and meaning. Some have more than this in relation to others. This created space for ultimate terms. Richard M. Weaver, an American professor who taught at the University of Chicago, basically defined what ultimate terms were. I define them as words that carry such ethos and pathos in a culture that it can dictate the feeling of a statement. There are God terms, devil terms, and even charismatic terms. So God terms are basically good terms. Devil terms are basically bad terms. And charismatic terms are terms that just have the it factor. So God terms are basically terms that no one's argue with. In America, terms such as safety, freedom, and liberty are all God terms. No one will argue for themselves not to be free, and it is a term that America bases itself off of. Devil terms become villainized, such as terrorist or immigrant. These words threaten the God terms. Terrorists often threaten Americans' freedom, so now it's become a devil term all around. Charismatic terms are terms such as luxurious or glamorous. So these words aren't necessarily good or bad, but they're attention grabbers that will grab the listener's ear. Ultimate terms are thrown at us on a daily basis in politics, songs, and especially in advertisement are some of the most prevalent places that they are seen. I will now show you a commercial in which an advertisement uses a charismatic term.
Let me tell you why you're here. It is the world of luxury that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
We just want to get our car.
Take the blue key, you go back to the luxury you know. You take the red key, and you'll never look at luxury the same again.
This is unreal.
No, it's very real. This is what luxury looks like. This is what it feels like. And this is what it sounds like.
Nessun dorma, nessun dorma. Weil mio mistero chiuso in me, il nome mio.
All right. So as you can see, luxury was the charismatic term in this advertisement. There was a luxurious couple coming out in their luxurious clothes of a luxurious restaurant, going to their valet who offered them two luxurious options: the luxury they know, or the luxury that would redefine their definition of luxury. In America, people often aspire to become a part of the upper class or have things that are luxurious. So this commercial was perfect to show that how much meaning that term has in this culture and how effective the commercial can be to the listeners. Opera is considered music for the upper class, luxury. Here at Penn State, there's some ultimate terms such as football, Joe Pod, and Sandusky, which are examples of charismatic God and devil terms respectively for what they represent here. Joe Paterno represented all that was good to the PSU community and became almost a godlike figure at a point. Sandusky, for what he went to prison for and for what he did to the Penn State community, is looked at in a very negative light. Ultimate terms are not just words, but words that evoke emotion. In a world where we are bombarded with media on a daily basis, or to be convinced by this person or by this advertisement, it is important to know what words are being used, so this way we pay more attention to not only the language, but the message behind it. In addition, we can also turn this for ourselves and become more persuasive and more effective in our argument by using words that we know can bring certain emotions and bring certain attention to our listeners. Thank you.